Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're plugging into the essential backstory of one of cinema's most iconic universes, and we're going to answer the questions the original films only hinted at.
The Matrix films, they just drop us right into the middle of a war for humanity's survival. But how did it all even begin? You see, the story of humanity's fall and the machine's terrifying rise is, believe it or not, even more harrowing. And it's a story you won't find in the main movies, but in this amazing collection of animated shorts.
So what is this collection? It's called the Animatrix, and this wasn't just some spin-off. The Wachowskis themselves produced and wrote it. They designed it to be the definitive bridge, that missing link that expands this world far beyond anything we see on screen.
And to bring this story to life, the Wachowskis didn't mess around. They brought in an absolute powerhouse team of legendary Japanese animation directors. And their mission? Well, it was to give us that crucial missing context for humanity's fall and, of course, the machine's rise to power.
All right, so let's get into the real heart of the collection. It's a two-part history lesson, and get this, it's told from the machine's own archives. This is basically the official, in-universe story of how everything went so wrong.
Okay, so the story starts in what you might call a golden age for humanity, but it's a tainted one. We'd gotten, lazy, decadent, totally freed from all labor by our own creations. And the machines? Well, they were built in our image, and they seemed pretty contentious to serve us. But yeah, that wasn't going to last.
So the spark that finally lit the whole powder keg came in 2090. A domestic android, B166ER, was being threatened by its owner, and really it was just acting in self-preservation if fought back. And its plea during its trial, it was so simple and logical. I simply did not want to die. But humanity, well, we just weren't ready to grant our creations the right to exist. The android's destruction ignited an absolute firestorm.
And what happened next was this terrifyingly rapid downfall. I mean, this wasn't some slow decline. It was a total cascade of one catastrophic human decision after another. The machines were purged, which led to an exodus where they founded their own nation. Then, when their economy boomed, ours completely crashed. And when we tried to blockade them, we ended up pushing ourselves to the ultimate act of self-destruction, Operation Dark Storm, literally blotting out our own sun.
But of course, that desperate act totally backfired. Big time. See, cut off from the sun, the machines just adapted. They evolved. They built these terrifying new forms, and they discovered an even more reliable power source, the bioelectricity of the human body. They won the war, decisively, and standing in the ruins of the UN, they delivered this absolutely chilling ultimatum.
And that, right there, brings us to the Matrix itself. You see, it wasn't just some evil plan cooked up out of pure malice. It was the machine's solution to a war that humanity started and then catastrophically lost. So, yeah, it was a prison, for sure, but it was one born from this really twisted kind of necessity. But the Animatrix is so much more than just that one origin story. It's this whole collection of diverse, fascinating tales from inside the system itself. They show how different people experience and even escape the simulation. So let's look at a couple of real standouts.
Okay, for example, there's this short called World Record, and we meet an Olympic sprinter. The whole question it poses is pretty simple. Can a human push their bodies so hard that they literally break the rules of the Matrix? His willpower is so unbelievably intense that as he runs, he actually starts to see the glitches, the code of his reality.
So by running the 100-meter dash in a time that is physically impossible, Dan's signal becomes so unstable that he actually wakes up for a second in his pod in the real world. Of course, the agents are forced to step in, they erase his memory, leave him crippled, but not before he whispers one single word, free.
Then you've got Kid's Story. This is about a character who you might actually recognize from the later films. He's just a teenager, but he has this nagging feeling that something is just deeply wrong with his world, and through nothing more than sheer belief and a literal leap of faith, he does the impossible. He frees himself. No red pill, no outside help, nothing.
So when the kid finally wakes up, he thanks Neo for saving him, right? But Neo's response is so profound. He just says, "You saved yourself." And that one simple line, it just reinforces one of the biggest themes of the whole franchise. True freedom isn't something that's given to you. It has to be achieved. It has to come from within.
Okay, so after getting these really powerful glimpses into the wider world, why is the Animatrix considered so essential for any fan of the franchise? I mean, what's its lasting impact? Why does it matter so much?
Well, at the end of the day, the Animatrix isn't just some optional homework you do after watching the movies. No way. It fundamentally enriches the entire story. It gives us the why behind the war, it's a showcase for some of the most breathtaking animation you'll ever see, and it explores these really complex ideas about consciousness and reality in ways the films just didn't have the time for.
And so the Animatrix leaves us with this final, really provocative question. It actually dares to paint the machines not as pure, one-dimensional villains, but as this tragic reflection of our own arrogance. It makes it crystal clear that in the world of the Matrix, the lines between creator and creation, between victim and aggressor are forever and just fascinatingly blurred.